All right, so my first attempt at showing this didn't work. What I did was I've just sawed with a multi-tool saw into this so that I could set this bone tip I've made quite a while back, and just trying to kind of line that up a little bit and flush this out. But I'm actually going to show a simpler way, I think, to do this. Now this tip is just for fun. I'm shooting a traditional bow, so I kind of want a couple of traditional looking arrows for my quiver, which my quiver is actually a piece of ABS pipe with Gorilla Tape on it for makeshift makeshift fletchings, and just, simple repairs and crafting these things. I am going to show how to do make your knock point, and this style of arrowhead setting is just an extension of that. Now what you want to do is on both ends is put a safety wrap of some kind, because these things will split. I don't know if you can see that, but they're wanting to split where I'm cutting this out. And so what you do is you just get that to where the tip of your notch comes up past your they're not a bar, but they're a tie-off point in your arrow, in your broadhead. And I have several different types here. I have some glass points. That one would actually fit in there quite nicely. That one's the bottom of a beer bottle. This is actually the bottom of an antique 7-Up bottle, and this is an actual stone point. I have napped these myself, but I am not a great napper, so I would recommend finding a video of someone who's better at napping. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some string off my artificial sinew here, and there's no great mystery on how to cut into these. Just some time. If you have a bandsaw, by all means use a bandsaw and just kind of run it in and out. I'm using the saw on my multi-tool, and what I'm going to do is just kind of go around real easy, because these things you're pulling from multiple angles. And I'm going to start my wrap up here, so that I'm grabbing. That's the whole point, where you have to go up past your deals, or up your arrow, actual notches in your arrow. Get that thing centered, and then come back down here and wrap it around and do the X pattern. So I go around once, X, once, and then just continue this pattern, and then wrap that around really, really good until you can come back down and tie that off. And then I just burn it. Whoops. And squash that. Point flat where my tags were. And there we go. And that is on there pretty solid. Now what you'd want to do, you know, is take some like pine glue or super glue, whatever, and just kind of fill in around that, and you've got a solid point. And I now have a completed arrow. Now, how I do my nocks, and it's the same process as the setting the tip, is you take your end, and I like to carve a little notch. And if you can find where the grain goes, like if the grain's going this way, you know, across your end, you want to cut this way into it, and that'll kind of help keep it from trying to split out. So essentially what you'll get is your nock going this way, and at the end, if you've got picked a straight enough shaft, your arrowhead will be going straight up and down. So that doesn't really matter, but it will help as far as the stability of your bow. And then you just, or not your bow, your arrow coming out of your bow, and then you just, I got myself there, you just take and that's why you notch that a little bit better than that. Actually take the material out and just kind of center it there. That should help. I've chewed the end of my thumb up a couple of times on this, but you just actually think it's like kind of carving. You get that thing centered or stable and going. Once you get going, it should be fairly easy to just, there we go. Once you get going, and you just start cutting in. And you start kind of wallowing out your edges. Now on this, if I'm for my string nock, I'm just going to basically bury my saw almost all the way up there. A hacksaw blade works really good for this. This is kind of an aggressive blade to be doing this with. That's why I keep chewing my thumb up. Okay, now right there I can feel my saw going across the deal. For a string, that's just fine. Right there is just enough. And then you just kind of want to turn your saw a little bit and wallow it out. And if you have a Swiss Army knife, one reason I'm a big fan of these, I have 4 of them I think now, is you can take the reamer on the awl and kind of help wallow that out a little bit. I think you can start seeing a little bit of a circle in that on the bottom of that, because what you're going to effectively do is make a pinch point for your string. Now it is starting to try to split on me a little bit, but that's why you put a wrap below that notch. So I'm just going to finish this off. Let's see a little bit more here. I need to get my saw back in there. Okay, that's pretty much that. And then what I want to do is come back about an inch from the end and just take a couple passes to make a point where when you grab it with your fingers, you grab your string. So then, like that, all I want to do now is just put a wrap right there. And I'm just going to do a whip knot. Right up to my where I started to thin it out. And I'm not worried about using up all of that material. Get my pliers. Oops. Cut my extra off. And then I'm ready to just put my fletchings on like I showed in the first one. And there you go. Simple bow or a simple arrow to make, use in a bow. I shoot a 45-pound self-made hornbeam bow, and these arrows will fly out and they won't just blow up, especially if you build them correctly and put the keeper, I guess call it a keeper wrap on it, because when this end hits, it's going to want to try to split that. So you put a deal on there and reinforce it with some glue or something. You can also just sharpen and just put a tip or a sharp point on it, maybe fire harden it a little bit, and you're good to go. So anyways, these are just some fun arrows that I'm going to use, and just kind of for practice for actually making some real ones. So anyways, hope this helps, and I'll see you next time.